And we've kind of got we circulated this thing, and in about 3 months we got about 15,000 signatures in Alaska. I mean, it just went everywhere. I had to get a bigger mailbox because people were sending these to my mailbox all the time. Let me read you this. Now, if you think that this is true, when I'm reading down through here and you're like, you know, that's true, why don't you just stand up and say, yep, that's true. Let it be known that we, the people of Alaska, Montana, stand in recognition of the true principle that whenever a government abandons the purpose for which we have created it, and even becomes hostile towards that which it was once a defender of, it is no longer a fit steward of the political power that is inherent in the people and lent to this government with strict conditions. These conditions are clearly defined in the United States Constitution and understood by the common man. Furthermore, to the extent that our government violates these conditions, they nullify their own authority, at which point it is our right and duty to entrust this power to new stewards who will not depart from the laws that we have given them. This being the case, let it be known that should our government seek to further tax, restrict, register firearms, or otherwise impose on the right that shall not be infringed, thus impairing our ability to exercise the God-given right to self-defense, which precedes all human legislation and is superior to it, that the duty of us good and faithful people will not be to obey them, but to alter or abolish them, and institute new governments, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to us shall seem most likely to affect our safety and happiness. You know why you sign this? You know why you stand tonight? It's not to tell the government that. It's to tell all the other people who felt like they were alone that they're not alone. And that the human heart that wants to be free and that wants to be respected by everyone and to respect others is uniform and consistent, and that we're not going to back down on this, that we're not going to deny what's in our heart for anybody. And so you sign this, and you make it public, and you put it in the paper like Mona said. And you know what that does? You know, this is a pretty hardcore group right here, but you know the people who maybe hadn't thought about it, maybe the people that were on the fence didn't know if they thought that their liberty was worth defending, well, then they had to think about it. This forced them to look at the clouds. It forced them to put pen to paper and put it where other people can see it. And somebody who's taken a position and made a stand publicly and been bold once before will be far more likely to be bold once again when it is really required of them. So I'm not going to tell you guys what to do down here in your neck of the woods, but I think you ought to sign this. I think you ought to make it public, and I think you ought to send this out as a word of encouragement to every other patriot in Montana. And this is plenty to do it right now. You can sit down. So we did this. This was then a big group of people that were rallied around a principle. And that's the best kind of group, is a group of people that are rallied around a principle. Let me talk about political parties just for a half a second. A political party used to be a group of people who were working together because they were united under commonly shared values and principles. But anymore, what it's become is a strategic alliance for power with no ideological prerequisite whatsoever. And that's really too bad. And we got to kind of recognize that. Now, that doesn't mean that, you know, the idea of some folks working together is bad, but we got to recognize that political parties can wind up being that. So, the Declaration. This started to change the cultural tide in Alaska, because it's really not a battle against the feds, against tyranny, as much as it is a battle for the hearts and minds of your community. You know? And we can be characterized by what we hate, in tyranny, but that's just going to get us wrapped around the axle. We're going to come to these meetings. We're going to leave angry. We're going to leave defeated. We're going to feel worn out. It takes a tremendous amount of energy to focus on something negative, and it hurts everybody around you. We need to not do that. We need to be characterized by what we love, not characterized by what we hate. Yeah, I hate tyranny, but you know what? I really love liberty. I love the idea of respecting other people and letting them do whatever they want and letting me do whatever I want and helping each other out like good neighbors. You know? And if somebody's encroaching on you and hurting you, well, I'm going to come to your aid. Because when somebody is making an assault on my neighbor, that's an assault on the principle that's protecting my liberty. And so I'm going to come to the aid of my neighbor, and I'm going to help him defend himself. Because we have a common interest in defending our liberty, because if that gets out of hand, we're both screwed. So, with that principle, a few months after this declaration really started going and people started rallying around these ideas, and we had a philosophical kind of a sway, we started realizing that, you know, government makes a lot of promises. They promise to protect us. You know, I don't think they can do it. They make a lot of promises they haven't kept. It's easy to make a list of the promises they've broken. I bet you I couldn't get a promise that they've kept out of this group here. Or at least not botched up beyond recognition. So here's what we did, a way for people to hang together. You're going to love this, all right? This is really cool. This is something that you can do, that we've done, that's working, that totally doesn't require the man to give you his blessing. You don't have to kiss the ring or worship Caesar to get this to happen. You don't have to talk to your legislator. You don't have to get your sheriff on board. This is a way that people who know what's right can just start doing what's right and put out an open invitation for anybody else to join you. That doesn't make my heart sink. Like the battle call of, go get these crooks to be uncrookified. That one is a tall order. All right? We set up the Liberty Bell system. The Liberty Bell system is an automatic phone system where every freedom lover in Fairbanks can be instantly accessible to the others. Here's how it works. To ring the Liberty Bell. The Liberty Bell operates under the 6,000-year-old common law system and the Fairbanks Common Law Court, which I'll tell you about in a minute. I'm excited about that too. There are only 2 laws in common law. Do all you have agreed to do. And number 2, don't encroach on other people or their property. Simple enough. You're all lawyers now. If you are being harmed by anyone who is breaking one of these laws, you can ring the Liberty Bell. Just call the Liberty Bell operator, who will then send a message instantly to thousands of people in Fairbanks who are willing to assist you. By ringing the Liberty Bell, you agree to stand before the common law court and explain your situation if asked to. And it's got the Liberty Bell number. Now, the scenario where this might happen is, suppose you get pulled over. And cop says, step out of the vehicle. I'm going to search your vehicle. And you say, no, you have a Fourth Amendment restriction that you can't search my vehicle unless you do it the proper way. Get on the ground or I'm going to tase you. I'm going to search your vehicle. Okay. You call the Liberty Bell. And all of a sudden, 500, 600, 700 people show up with their cell phone cameras to watch whatever's going on. You know how this works? Those troopers, they get wicked polite in a real fast hurry. When people are watching, they hop right in line. Yes, sir, no, sir, won't break your constitutional rights, sir, okay. You just have a seat in your car. I'm going to see if I can get a warrant to search your vehicle. You know, meanwhile, everybody's just watching, you know. And, well, they couldn't get a warrant. Have a nice day, you know. And this is a way for us to keep our government accountable. They work for us. We need to pay attention. It's only right. It's only right. Now, we got a little bit of flack from the cops. I'll tell you about that in a little bit. On the flip side of this card, it says, when you receive a Liberty Bell call, number 1, go directly to the given location. Number 2, don't aggravate the situation.